Alison has a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Calgary. She's also an athlete and a business owner of multiple companies, Pulse, Party Poachers, and Grit YYC. For Alison, empathy means to recognize another person's feelings of frustration, nervousness, confusion, and to understand the preservative of that person and to communicate your understanding of that person's feelings with that person. Alison, thank you so much for being here and take us on the home stretch.
Thank you so much. All right, so my story begins at the young age of 7 years old while I was watching the 1996 Olympics on TV. I stumbled upon a sport that I had never seen before. It stunned and inspired me. This sport was synchronized swimming. Immediately, I ran into the kitchen and told my mom that she needed to enroll me. I knew I would be good at this sport. I knew I could be successful at it. I could swim before I could even walk, and everything in the water just came so naturally to me. At my first tryout, though, I hated it. The water was so cold, but I knew I would be good at it, so I kept going and I forgot about the hate part. When my instructor asked if I could do a somersault, I didn't just do one, I did 10 in a row without breathing. As a young child, I defined success by going to the Olympics. Even before I found synchronized swimming, the one sport that I really actually had potential to be good at, I was adamant that I must go to the Olympics. I was so adamant, in fact, that I used to write lines over and over again in my diary when I was super young and did not know how to spell the word Olympics. Fast forward time and hard work, and I came close to achieving this goal. I was the alternate to the 2008 Olympic team, which I never actually competed, but I was there ready to step in if someone else got injured. A year after the 2008 Olympics, though, my career was kind of cut short. It came to a point where I just wasn't good enough anymore, and the coaches cut me from the team, which was such a difficult pill for me to swallow because up until this point, my entire life I had based it on synchronized swimming. After I came to terms with the fact that my synchronized swimming career had ended, I had to move back to Calgary, and I decided to start my education. I went to the University of Calgary and I ended up taking mechanical engineering just because it was the hardest and fastest degree that I could think of. And I thought it would earn me the respect of others, maybe the respect I didn't get through sport. Engineering was honestly very difficult for me. While I was so focused on swimming, I hardly completed my high school education. I took an extra 6 months to do so. And I just found in engineering, I didn't know the normal things that engineers knew. I thought an ATM meant bank machine and not a pressure unit. However, I never pursued anything because it was easy, like I'm sure many of you guys can relate to as well. Eventually, I did graduate from engineering and I moved on to the corporate ladder and started working my way up that. I cycled through many different jobs, quitting a bunch of them and also getting laid off. And I just found that I was awful at office politics and I had no desire to say the right things or just blindly go about doing procedures. And I also missed having something I could win at like I did in sport. So I decided to start my own company, and this is what I did first. I invented products such as this dinosaur costume, and I really just did that because it was the only thing I knew about entrepreneurship at the time. I had a lot of failures in the beginning and average results until I finally realized I needed some help, which was very difficult for me because I'm such an independent person. But I learned that if I wanted different results from what I currently had, I needed different input from something other than my own brain. So it took me a while, but eventually I found some really great mentors, and they've really helped me because they've taught me that in order to bridge the gap between where I currently was and where I wanted to be, I needed to kind of follow in someone's footsteps who'd been there. So currently I have 3 companies. I have a physical training company named Grit. I have an e-commerce company that sells thousands of different products called Party Poachers. And I have an education company called Pulse that educates people on how to create a successful e-commerce business. So currently, I just love the direction that I'm going. I feel like I have purpose and goals and a plan to actually get there. In terms of empathy, I think the most important realization I had was self-empathy, because I'm such a perfectionist and I'm super hard on myself. Every time I failed in life, I was devastated. For example, when I failed to reach my childhood dream of going to the Olympics, I chalked myself up to basically a worthless human being who couldn't be passionate about anything else in their entire life. So when I was going to school and practicing engineering, there were also many moments when I felt completely dumb and like I didn't belong. I felt like at any moment someone could ask me a question that I wouldn't know the answer to, and my world would come crumbling down. Even starting my own businesses, it was super tough for me because in the beginning I didn't make money. And when you don't make money, you don't have any confidence. However, with the help I've received, I've been able to commit to finding helpful solutions to my problems. And with the self-empathy that I found that instead of tearing myself down, I could just follow through with the commitments and build trust in myself. So instead of making poor decisions that would lead to self-suffering and self-hate, I used self-empathy to greater my awareness of actually where I was at. And I just learned to accept that everything always takes longer than I think it will. And there's always different challenges and hurdles that I didn't expect. But as long as I stay focused, it's better that I continue going and it's better that I am where I am now than where I would be if I wasn't practicing self-empathy and continuing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison. Wow. Just as you were sharing that, you were so vulnerable and so inspiring as well at the same time. And some of the comments that are coming back reflect that. It's just your inspirational, strong, positive, wonderful energy. And Alison, if I might ask you a question, you know, what struck me was your ability to pivot and reinvent yourself multiple times throughout your athletic, your engineering career, as well as your business career. And a question for you would be, what advice would you have to anybody else that's looking to pivot, but maybe doesn't have that self-confidence to start?
I would just say that if you want to pivot, just be brave and kind of have a vision of where you might want to go in your life. And then in order to do that, sometimes your current habits are so hard to break. So it really helps if you create some sort of change, constantly remind yourself of perhaps where you want to go and kind of take yourself out of your present environment so you can open yourself up to maybe becoming a different person or going in a different direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much.